Multifamily investing with a focus on out of state. We do it every Wednesday at 2 p.m. And we're lucky to have here today Lawrence, don't call me Larry, Mr. International Latty. Lawrence, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking, Bill. Thanks for asking.
I see you regularly. I was on a Zoom with you last week, and I know you have your yours upcoming here later today. You're all over the place, but tell me, what is Mr. International about?
I'm about helping people elevate themselves and helping to connect people to make them get more out of life. Wow.
Now, is that something particularly international, or you can do that if you're in the United States as well?
No, I'm what the international part is because from a friend of mine. This started year before last. I started my meetup in 2020, and what happened is that had a guest on, and what I do is I go around the screen and everybody introduce themselves as you know. And this one guy says he's from New Zealand, and this is like my fourth or fifth meetup. I'm like, New Zealand. So the friend of mine says, we're gonna start calling you Mr. International.
There you go.
So I sort of downplayed it a little bit. I don't. And then one time, another friend of mine says, well, if you don't want to take it, I'll take it. I said, you know what? I had a moment of clarity. I said, I'll take the name. And it's stuck since. It's stuck since.
Nice, nice. And before you get started too far along, you have a voice for radio. Like, do you do radio or DJing, or you just have like an amazing voice?
I used to DJ. I've been told that 1,000 times. You could do voiceovers. I never followed it. I never followed it.
Yeah, I don't know how fun. I have a client who does voiceover professionally, and I don't know. That's such a. It sounds great. I don't think it's that fun of business at the end of the day. So, okay. Well, so tell us about you. Where'd you grow up originally? Then how'd you get into real estate?
Well, I originally grew up in Harlem, in New York City. That's where I'm at right now. But my parents moved from here to the Bronx. That's how I got my start in real estate. My father bought her first house in my last year of high school.
Now, hold on a second there. Just for those who are watching, you know he's authentic because there's one word, New York City. There's no spaces there, and it's the Bronx, just in case you're watching along. So he's legit. Go ahead, keep going. Sorry about that.
Like that. Yeah,
I have to translate you for Californians. Go ahead.
Thank you. And my father bought his first house in the Bronx, was a two-family house. What happened was it was a doctor's house. So a doctor had his office on the first floor, and he must have lived upstairs, or he had a tenant upstairs. And that was my last year in high school. Then after that, my father bought another house around the corner. He bought a house across the street, a 5-unit.
Pops.
Yeah.
Real estate magnate.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. My parents are from Jamaica and the West Indies. And they came and we waited and he did what he had to do. And that's how I got my start. I got that bug. I really did everything. I mean, I learned how to shovel sidewalks, shovel snow, learned how to mop steps, sweep steps, collect rent.
All the high-end stuff.
All the high-end. Yeah, exactly.
All the college for all that. What is it about Jamaicans that so many succeed in America? I just can't tell you how many I've had the privilege of knowing. They're very family-oriented. They're very spiritual, it seems like. But one thing that's consistent is they're driven. So many, and of course, everybody is plus and minuses, and I'm sure the people, Jamaicans that struggle and get too acclimated to bad ways. But so many Jamaicans are successful and in real estate. What is it about Jamaicans in real estate they seem to do so well?
I just think that it's the drive. Nothing to hold it. Nothing. You know what? It's like anybody. It's not just Jamaicans. It's everybody in this world. It's a mindset. Mm-hmm. It's a mindset that I can go after what I want and go get it. Nice. I think, like I said before, it's not about just Jamaicans. It's not particularly one culture or one country. It's a characteristic everybody needs to have, that mindset that you can't stop me.
So where'd you get that from?
I think it came from my parents, but also came from me reading some books, because my story is, I believe that God has set you on a path. There's a path you have, and you can choose what path you want to go down, but there are consequences to that path. And I chose a different path. There's some consequences to that path, but I've been on the right way for the last almost 34 years. So that's where I came at. That's where I've come from. And I believe it's one thing, it's you against you. It's a mind thing. Yeah. It's nobody outside because only you can control you. You can control how you act, what you do, and what you think. You can't control nobody else.
Now, the rest of the world, for the most part, is not saying that. But I suspect you surround yourself for a good part of your day or good part of your week around positive influences. What are positive? You mentioned some books. What are things you do to keep that mindset? Because that's not common. That it might be common in real estate successful people, but it's not common in the rest of the world. That's not common with people I have to deal with in our community. What is it that you've done to help keep that mindset clear?
Well, I like number one, I believe in it's an inside job. So you gotta work from the inside out. Spiritually, my principles, right? It's about love, joy, peace, patience, goodness and kindness, faithfulness, being temperate, and showing self-control. That's part of my MO. I believe in the walk, with that walk. And it's also surrounding yourself with people, because I had a guest on last night, Frank Palatano, and he said, somebody said to him, he said he wrote down, he said that he got to a point where he wrote down his 5 friends and figure out what they made and where they're from, what their thoughts about, and how they acted. And who you surround yourself with is who you become. And I had to let people and places go and surround myself with new people, places, and playthings.
It's so hard for me. I have a couple of friends who are really struggling, and on one hand, I feel strong. I've prayed for the strength to help other people. So I want to help them, but I also don't want to get pulled into the water with them or pulled into the mud with them. I want to pull them out. I want to be a hand to help them out, help themselves out. But it's hard to draw those lines, where you cut people off, and it's challenging. But I also think that makes me stronger to be there for them when it's hard. I'd rather suffer through them than suffer in my own family. So it's
right.
part of living a life. So okay, wow, this is getting a little spiritual here. I feel like I'm in church or something, and I'm Jewish. I don't go to church, so a synagogue. But what does all this have to do with real estate? Well, I think you would say everything. I think your mindset is probably everything to do with your wealth and real estate, isn't it?
Everything has to do with your mindset and your heart set. That's the bottom line. Because you know what? I think Walter Cronkite had a quote. I'm going to chop it up, but he said, if you're going to go get ahead, if your principles are wrong, you're not really getting ahead. And I chopped this quote up. I know I did. Sorry, but I know I chopped it up. But you got to have the right heart and the right mind, right? And surround yourself with the right kind of people.
I was just listening to a podcast, and he was talking about how everybody goes through struggles. The only way you succeed is by overcoming struggles. People who we look at as successful, off camera, they have tremendous struggles, and they overcome them and go up another level by dealing with those. And so how do you do that? You have to keep your mindset right, or else you're going to stop at some point and say, it's too much for me. And
right.
So let's talk about real estate. Really my audience is not, I love going on your podcast and some of the people that you've introduced me to, because it's a lot of very successful people who've built, empires and built fortunes. And thank God I've done real well, but I also have a lot of clients and friends and family who are looking to get started. And so I have kind of an affinity to try to help people get started in investing, get started in maybe stepping up from a rental property to multifamily and such. So what do you do to encourage people who say, I've worked hard now, I've got myself straight, I've paid off the debts, and we're cutting back our expenses, we put some money away, we want to build something in the long term. What do you see as some of the first couple of steps to get their mindset right? Maybe they're reading good books for the first time. What's some of the first action steps they should take in investing to make progress?
Well, I think the first step is, like you just said, the books, get knowledge. Because then part of that knowledge, as you take the knowledge, surround yourself with people who are doing the same things or who are at where you want to be. And that means, what does that mean? That means going to meetups, right? Going to meetups and going to more meetups. And I believe that therefore, when you go to these meetups, people get to know, like, and trust you. And that's called the KLT of this business. And once people get to know, like, and trust you, they'll see you and are willing to help you more. I have a thing called the 4 Ps, right? So you go to me, you gotta be positive, right? You gotta be prosperous. And prosperous means you gotta be willing to pour on other people. But before you can pour on other people, you gotta pour into yourself. That means you gotta read books to get knowledgeable about certain things. Then you create patterns. And the patterns are, you can't go to a virtual meetup or a meetup once a month. You got to go be consistent. That's create a pattern.
Yeah.
That's part of the KLT. And the last P is producing. And producing is, I call it producing, following up with people. That's how you produce, following up and adding value.
So let's talk about that, the habits. I would agree with you. I think that, you have to have some pillars in your life of certain meetings. There are some that I go to look for leads or look for guests or look for business. And there are other ones that to me are my pillars I go to all the time. They both give in. I'm giving there and I'm also getting some business back, but I'm really giving. And I take a leadership position because, and I'll be there every week. And I see people pop in, pop out, and I always say to them, well, where do you go regularly? Like I get, if this doesn't appeal to you, okay, I'm fine. I'm not everything to everybody, but what do you do every single week that you would never miss because that's your business? And if you don't have that, then you don't have anything.
Exactly.
And one way is to host your own. So now you host meetups in New York. Are you guys live again, or is it all virtual still?
No, it's still virtual. It's still virtual. I think it's going to stay virtual because I was telling somebody the other day about this, and to find a venue, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, virtual is the way to go. I always say that because of the pandemic, it was a curse and a blessing, right? Because a lot of people out here, and if anybody here, sorry for your loss, but there's people out here who has an empty seat at their table, right? And but also the other side of it is that it's created a new way of doing business.
Oh yeah,
right. And I think the new way of doing business this way, because quite honestly, if the pandemic did not happen, would I meet you? I don't think so. Would I meet people like Maurice Philogene? Would I meet people like Jerome Myers? Would I meet people like Yona Weiss? Would I meet people like Brian Briscoe? I mean, I can go and name 1,000 people. I don't think so, because at that time the meetups were local, right? Yeah. Local. This has made this a global stage now.
Yeah, I agree. I used to go to certain meetups weekly and loved them, but you look back on it, about half of the same regulars, and then half would be new people. Right. New people come, some would become new regulars. Mostly they come once in a while, and some would never come back again. So you're meeting some people, but it's still somewhat of a surface level. In some regards, I can meet somebody, I can meet them on your meetup, and then follow up and have a long conversation with them in a way I couldn't do that before, right? Before the phone call, now it's a video call, and we do regular things together. So it is a blessing and a curse. For me, it's been the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Our only child lives 4 blocks from us. She's married and has her first grandson, and then she comes over 3 or 4 times a week in the afternoon.
Congratulations, Bill.
And I'll be in a call like this, and she'll walk in, my grandson, put it in my arms, and my wife said, "Are you worried people will be, frustrated or disappointed that you're interrupting the meeting?" And I said, "I don't really care. I mean, if you don't do business with me because I'm holding my grandson, okay, good luck."
You know what, Bill, it's funny because what happens is that this Zoom has made everybody human.
I agree.
Because what happens is when the pandemic first began, people doing Zoom and kids was coming into the room. Yep. It was
dogs barking and
dogs. It's just the way it is. This is living life on life's terms.
You log in and your wife would change the Zoom name to her name or her nickname with her girlfriend or something silly. And you've seen everything. If you've been around Zoom for a while, it's been just about everything.
This makes this transparent, and it makes people see that you're not just a person in a suit, that you have a life, right? There's more to you than just the business. A lot of times these meetups, some of these meetups, everybody's so into business, but they don't really know the person who they're talking to. Right. And that's why I believe that's why part of my system of talking to people, for people, networking, You need to talk to people and find out more about them. Having $1,000 is great. Having $2 million is great. But who are you as a person?
Mm-hmm.
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. That's called forward.
Nice. Yeah, in my business career up until the pandemic, every day I wear a suit and tie for work. Every single day. Dark suit, white shirt, silk tie, Brooks Brothers, conservative look, every single day. I go to meetups dressed that way. If it wasn't work, I wouldn't dress that way. I would go home.
Mm-hmm.
And when the pandemic hit, in the beginning there weren't dry cleaners. You didn't have much of a choice. So I started wearing, and white shirts in the video just didn't work for me. My color washed out. I didn't have good lighting, and so I started wearing a black shirt just to, look a little better.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I went, this is kind of nice. It's like a polo shirt, no tie, short sleeves, wearing shorts. I even wear socks most days. It's but it's real. And I interview attorneys for my business, and they'll say to me, "How should I dress?" I said, "How are people going to meet you? That's up to you." I'm wearing a polo shirt, so just like goes. So where are you at in your business? Are you still building your real estate practice? Are you more into community? Where are you at? What's your big project you're working on today? What's the one?
Well, right now I'm at I just got a contract in the end of August, last week of August, for an 8-unit building in Bronx, North Carolina. That's like my meetup says, financial independence through small multifamily investing. So I believe in that small multifamily niche. So that's what I'm at right now with that. And I'm still working on keeping my building up here.
So tell me about small multifamily. What is it about that niche that you find so attractive?
It's something where you have to get your hands on yourself. And also it's something you can help other people who don't have a lot of money, right, to become partners. Because if you do a JV deal with somebody on a building, they may not have 50, 60, $100,000, but they may have 20, 50. And if you have the rest of it, you can find 4 other partners that can work together like that. Mm-hmm. And also the payout is a lot better because I had to pay 1,000 people. We're paying 5 based on their percentage of what they put in.
Look at that smile. Those right there. Doing pretty good. Mr. International, very good. How do you source this deal, and how do you source deals in general?
This was I'm gonna tell you something. This is my first deal. This is my first multifamily deal. So I sourced this is through a off-market deal, right? Direct to seller. They talked about it, and I said I'll do it. I want to try it again, take a crack at it, and make it work.
Wow. I'm in contract right now on a property. I was a listing agent on it, and we couldn't get an offer that was close to fair, and the seller threw out a number. I said, "I'll pay cash for that." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And I ended up resigning as a listing agent because I can't do both in this case. Right. And I'm the buyer, and I'm under contract on a deal that's a great deal. I think this is really going to be a great opportunity going forward. Whether you have money or you have time, there'll be opportunities we haven't had for the last couple of years. It's going to change what they look like. But I know what they smell like. They smell like distress. They smell like, urgent. They need to do something right away. Mm-hmm. And so you'd be in a position to make a decision right away. And I knew I jumped on that one immediately. I just didn't. I know I could wholesale it to somebody else, but I'm not even bothering with that because I want the deal. So it's in northern central California, okay. So north of Redding, California. So Sacramento's kind of central equals San Francisco, north of Sacramento. So I want to say it's somewhat rural, semi-rural area of California towards the north. Mm-hmm. It's a big state. I wouldn't want to buy in LA or LA County. It's just anti-landlord here. It's so aggressive that it would keep me up at night. And I'm not sure I'm going to keep this property other than it's vacant, and I can fix it and flip it and sell it right away. I'm not really patient enough to be a landlord. I am a landlord when other people are responsible. Personally, I'll invest in 200 units and up, and with a good team, and they're handling all the numbers, and I get a report once a quarter and a check. I'm happy. I'm just not. I'm not smart enough, Lawrence, to buy a small family income property like you.
No. It can be done. Anybody can do it.
I can't. No, I can't. I'd be up at night. I'm telling you, if there were daily on the second of the month, I'd be up at night. Honey, this is a mistake. We should sell it. I couldn't. My brother retired on single family homes and renting them out. And so I know the business, and I just know it's just not me. I mean, you have to know your limits.
Right. Definitely.
My business is a lot of drama, a lot of stuff going on, deals falling out of escrow, in escrow, falling out. Come 6 o'clock, I just don't want to do more drama. So that's me. So how'd you find the deal in North Carolina? And you said came to you, was it on your meetup or was it a Zoom call or how? Sharing?
Is my coach.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Coach, and he was talking about something he had, and I said, let me take a look at it and see.
Okay, so now that pays for the coaching. You know, I hired a coach one time.
Is it done?
Casey Eberhardt is a master at networking, and I hired him as a coach. And I went to a networking event, and the second week there, somebody had a house to sell. It was like $1.1 million, and then the commission was like $23,000 that paid for the coaching for a couple of years. So, you know, if they're doing business, good for you. Yeah, good for you. That's exciting.
Well, coaching, I believe that coaching is important.
Yeah.
My coach is just this is not a plug. His name is Drew Myers, and he's you need a coach in this business. Whether you're going small, large, you need a coach because a coach can help you create a team.
I would say my coach is Grant Cardone. I went to his conference last year, and I check in with his organization. I'm not paying for weekly coaching sessions, but I study his stuff and read his books. And as far as my personal investing philosophy, but again, you have to know yourself. And I'm not going to do a syndication. It's just not. It sounds great. Maybe a couple years from now, if I'm bored with houses, but I couldn't see doing that right now myself. So, okay. So one of the questions we got asked before we got on was about inflation. What are your thoughts? Obviously, in the last couple of days, we've had a little more excitement on, again, where it seemed like inflation was cooling off a little bit, and the rates have come down below 6% on a 30-year fix. Now today they're back up to a new high, 6.3. Are you concerned about inflation, or how does that play into your decision making as an investor?
I'm a professor. I'm not an economicist, but I think that the right time to buy is anytime, right? Because the bottom line is that you have to underwrite it based to your numbers. So when my father bought in 1971, it wasn't 3%. It wasn't 3%.
Well, I want to say, I'm going to guess it was like 71. I'm going to guess it was like, their days was 12, 13%.
Probably so, yeah. Probably so. I look at the records, right? But it wasn't no 3%, right? No. So, and plus my strategy is not buy and sell, flip, right? My strategy is to hold long term. So, I'm about cash flow. So whether inflation, no inflation, I'm looking for the long-term effect. So if I get this deal, because let's say for 7%, and later down the road, I can refi out, and rates come down to 3 or 4%.
Free money.
Free money, right?
Free money.
But the bottom line is that you got to make sure the numbers work. That's whatever, no inflation, stagflation, you got to make sure your numbers work. If the numbers don't work, they just don't work. I always tell people, you cannot make a 5, a 7 cannot be a 5.
So when you say you underwrite a file, what are your assumptions for financing? Are you this property you're buying, is it a 30-year loan? Are you getting a 10-year term loan, a 5-year term loan? And what are your thoughts about what happens in the future when that you still have it and that term comes out?
Well, right now I was looking for a construction loan. Then I was listening to a podcast. I read something. I said, you know what? Maybe I just wait for the construction loan and get a 30-year mortgage if I can get one, right? And I got an offer ready because, like I said, I'm shopping around. I let everybody know that I'm shopping around, right? To see what kind of rates I'm going to get. and somebody came back with 8%, right? And there's some others, I have two other mortgage brokers still out there looking. So if I get that 8%, right, I just hold on. I mean, I'll just go with the straight year, 30-year mortgage if I can. And what I'll do is I'll take 1 or 2 years to fix up the property. There's things I need to do immediately, so I have money for that already. But other than that, I just have to wait.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is if the numbers work today, they're going to work tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, where people get in trouble, I think, is they buy a property like that and they're getting a short-term loan of some sort, construction loan or bridge loan,
right,
and they're going to invest most of the remaining savings. And the assumption will be in a year or 2 years, they'll refinance. And if those rates are higher, there are people who did that a year ago at 3%, and now your rates are at 6% or 7% or higher. They may not qualify for the full amount. And that's where the problem comes in. If it barely penciled then, it's not going to pencil now. If it penciled in with a margin, then it probably will still pencil now. That's probably what it gets down to.
So that's why I came to the realization that forget the construction loan. I just want a straight mortgage, 30-year mortgage. And what I'm gonna do is, like I said, if I can see how things are gonna work out, and get a construction loan later on down the line, I'll use a line of credit. But I'm gonna get this property and just use 30-year mortgage first.
Yeah, very nice. But it's gonna pencil out. Look at that.
Yes, it will pencil out.
Very nice. Okay. Look at that smile. It's worth a fortune right there. So we got a question in the chat box from GK. Have most Harlem, New York brownstones been converted to apartments after originally being 4 to 5 level single houses?
I'm gonna say this, that to do that, you had to get a zoning code change. There's a lot of stuff that goes on here in New York City. New York City is an animal of its own, right? So you had to get that changed. There's a lot of people who have rooming houses. They were rooming houses, right? SROs. That's a whole nother animal also. Most of these people, they do work and change it into apartments, but you have to go to the Department of Buildings to that, and that's going to cost time and money.
I think another way of putting that, tell me if this sounds right to you, is, I go to a lot of different, meetings and investments, and there are people who are specialists in these different strategies. Mm-hmm. That's a strategy.
Right.
People do it successfully, go deep. And it's not the strategy that's the key. It's not convert a brownstone into 4 or 5 bedroom apartment. It's 10 million details they've learned doing that wrong and failing and struggling and being challenged to find the right way to do it, with all the vendors they have and the expertise they have. And even still, it's a business they make money at and work at every day. And so sometimes I think new investors, they go onto a podcast or they go to a meetup and go, oh, that sounds easy. What's the easiest way to make a lot of money? Well, the easiest way to make a lot of money is not do anything. Mm-hmm. There's no easy way. It's all meant to be a struggle. And you have to learn to become the expert at it. So I think that question is a little misguided. Now he says, have you seen prices increase due to gentrification? For sure, Harlem prices are going up, right?
Harlem price, it's been crazy, right? Because I'm from the original Harlem, so.
What is that?
That's before some of these brownstones were burnt out. They were in disrepair. Excuse me. But now, it's gentrification is all over every city.
Yes.
Gentrification is every city. Yeah. In New York City, it's all over his hands. It's in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, Queens. I don't look at all this. I don't go over the numbers, so I can tell you. But I can tell you this: the rents. So many people charging rent. It's crazy, right? Yeah. Vacancies. This is New York City. Everybody wants to be here in New York City. Right? People want to fit five in an apartment. That's how they pay. That's how you pay the rent. Right?
Maybe I do to be there.
You'll be there. Everyone wants to be here in New York City. But I'm gonna say this: rents not going to continue going up. The way everybody keeps some things, they're going to go up. So when you're underwriting, check your numbers.
Yeah. I was in New York 2 years ago, and we had 2 weddings on 2 different Sundays back to back. And so rather, my wife had to fly home after the first one and go back. She's a teacher and she had finals week, so she had to fly. And so, honey, I think I'm just going to stay in New York. I've always wanted to stay in Central Park. I think it'd be a blast. I'm going to be a New Yorker for the week. I'm going to do what New Yorkers do. I'm going to walk the park and I'm going to hang out. And I did. I got a great hotel overlooking the park. It was a blast. And so I like to walk for exercise. So I walked around the park, which is, I think, 7 miles or 8 miles. It's a long walk.
So when you say walk the park, you walk from Central Park South up to 110th and walk back down.
And went across and came back down the other side. I walked up whatever 7th and came back down 5th.
Wow.
So I walked the circumference of the park every day. The first time I did it, and people said, well, you got to be careful on the north side of the park. It's different. It's different. Now, I got to say, though, you're still overlooking Central Park. I mean, at some point, maybe it is definitely rougher there. It's a whole nother level, and I had to pay attention where I was and such. But at the same time, you're overlooking Central Park. Like, there's some money. Somebody's make some money over there because and I see construction going on in pockets because Central Park is an amazing, I don't know, system or whatever it is. So I'd love to visit New York. I couldn't live there. It would spit me out in a week, or 2 weeks. But I'd love to visit. So it doesn't sound like you're really more speculating on that. You're more building and getting cash flow. And so, is more of your business in the Bronx? Is that where you're?
Yes, I have a 2-family in the Bronx, and I have my personal residence. But what I have done is a few years ago, like 2 years ago, I rented out the top my house. I lived in the basement because my kids are going right.
Nice.
So I want to use everything to its best use.
Yeah, nice. So we're the same way. We took a bedroom and made it into my office. So instead of paying for office rent, this is a bedroom in my house. And then the other room, my daughter moved out, but we made it into a nursery. So my grandson comes, he can stay over, and it's all set up for that. So we didn't get too far with that. So okay. So this before I get too far along here, I want to make sure we give you a chance to present what you're working on. I saw online you have an event in Washington, D.C. Is that you?
That's me. That is me.
Mastermind Networking Dinner?
Yes, sir.
Saturday, September 24th. So that's a week from Saturday.
Yes,
at
sir.
the Lincoln on Vermont Avenue, Northwest in Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia.
Yes, sir. That's me.
Tell me about that event.
Well, what happened is that last year I went down to see Eric Thomas in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And at the 120 event, and if anybody's not familiar with Eric Thomas is, they call him the hip hop preacher. And he's a motivational speaker. If you go to Motiversity, you find him all over Motiversity. And a friend of mine, Aaron Goins, I read this book called Mastermind Dinners. This is the first time I read it a few years ago, and I read it again. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to Atlanta to see this. We'll just maybe get some people together. I get some people together, and bring them in, and let's have a little dinner. And it went very well, right? And so I held that one in Atlanta. I held 2 in New Jersey, and it's grown from there. The beginning of the year, the beginning of the end of the first quarter, I was in Miami. The second quarter, I just came back from Charlotte in July, and the end of this quarter here, September, I'm being down DC, and the last quarter, December 10th, I will be in New York City.
That sounds interesting to me. Washington, D.C., I've been to, and it's nice and all that. But so let's see, you're not promoting your event.
Right.
Okay, so this one's coming up a week from Saturday, and it has all the details there in Eventbrite. And I'm sure you'll promote your other events as well. When's New York City? December
10th.
December 10th. We might be in New York around December, as it turns out. So I go to New York about once a year for family, and I love to visit New York City. Where are you going to host it at in New York?
I don't know yet, but I think it's going to be at my favorite space, the Capitol Grill.
The Capitol Grill. That's a little high end there, Mr. International.
No, I've held most of the events have been the Capitol Grill.
Nice.
So only 2 have not been the Capitol Grill.
Nice. Okay. So if someone want to get a hold of you and learn more about your program and what you do and helping people and investing with you or whatever, I know you have your podcast. Where would they find you?
It's not a podcast. It's a meetup.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, now I'm gonna put the cart before the horse.
Okay. Well, what's the difference to you?
Huh?
What's the difference to you?
More work.
The podcast is more work, or the meetup's more work?
Podcast is more work because I do this every week, so I'm looking for speakers on a daily basis.
Dude, I'm with you there too. I'm the same. I run 3 of these things, so I'm always looking for
And in addition to that, I also lead Sunday school, so I got to read stuff, and I also am another program in, but I got to find a speaker every week. Also,
nice.
I'm on the phone a lot.
Nice. Well, that voice should be successful. So soon, when to find you for your meetup, where do they find you at?
Here's my.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Chat.
Boom. Now there's an experienced networker. Look at that. It's a whole ball game laid out. And your YouTube. Okay.
YouTube, and let me put the link for if anybody's interested, like I said, next week, September 24th, we're going to be in
Nation's capital,
DC, and my guest speaker will be Maurice Philogene. He is a co-founder of Quattro Capital. He's also a LinkedIn influencer. If you go to LinkedIn, he's on there a lot. He's also a philanthropist, overseas developer, and more importantly, he's also believes in trying life on. Right?
He's all that in a bag of chips.
He's all that in a bag of chips. He's traveled over to 100 countries more than 3 times.
Wow. And so, yeah, I can see why you served in the Air Force. Wow, quite an impressive guy. Well, look forward to all of that. I don't know that I'll get there to Washington, D.C., but there's information in the chat box. I'll also post it in our show notes. Lawrence, Mr. National Latty, it's always a pleasure seeing you. I didn't really know where we're going to go with this so much, but I think that it's about the attitude, it's about the mindset, and I think with that, you can buy property in North Carolina, I think you said, or New York, or wherever, right. But do it with a smile, do it with grace, do it with purpose. And thank you so much. I appreciate being on our call today.
Well, thank you, Bill, for inviting me on to be as a guest. It's been an honor and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do this every Wednesday. This is our multifamily. We focus on out of state, out of California is really what we mean, anywhere but California. We do it every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We live stream it onto YouTube and to Facebook. And sometimes we have great guests, not always as great as Mr. National, but we try to. And so I hope you guys have a great week. If I can help, give me a call, Bill Gross. I'm on social media at Bill Gross EXP. Make it a great week. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you.